Good morning, you all. My name is Sean Boyd. I am a lecturer in the Department of Geography here at CSU Fresno, and you are here because you had the time to attend one of two optional in-person orientation sessions that I set up based on a doodle survey that I sent out. And most people either voted for yesterday evening, 7 p.m., so I had it at 6 in the library, or today at 9 a.m. So I'm trying to, spray the information out to as many students as I possibly can. You're enrolled in my Geography 115, which is Violent Weather Natural Hazards. It's a basic meteorology course, but it's designed for upper division students. So you are either in section, how many of you are here from 30900? Okay, 2 of you, and how many of you are from 743? Obviously the rest of you. Okay, fantastic. So the goal today here is to orient you toward the elements of the course, how to navigate the course on Blackboard, and to answer any questions that you might have. And I've prepared a small PowerPoint about this, but it was already pointed out to me last night that I did have one minor error in it. So if you don't mind me finding that error very quickly and correcting it, I would appreciate your indulgence. This will not take long. Oh yeah, here we go. You don't need a Scantron. No Scantrons are required because all the exams are online. So that was the issue there. Let's see, and quizzes, okay, I took care of that issue. All right, fabulous. So now all I need to do is just, I'm not going to bother to save the changes right now. I'll deal with that later. Okay, thanks for your indulgence. So, you're either in 30900 or you're in 35743. Everything is online in this course. That's my email address. The usual protocol for faculty and staff is seboyd@csufresno.edu. I check my email frequently, so I hope that you find that I respond in a timely fashion to your inquiries. That's what I try to do. I think you have an expectation of that from me, since I get the big bucks, right? So I do try to respond in a very timely fashion. I might slack off a little bit on Saturdays, just because, there's this one day where I just sort of chill and don't do a whole lot of anything. But I'll re-engage, typically on Sundays. But I do jump on my email quite frequently. My office is just down the hall in this building, S162. My in-person office hours, I just established them yesterday. You may have seen the announcement. 11 in the morning to noon, I have a Monday, Wednesday, Friday noon Geography 4 class, World Regional Geography. And then Tuesday and Thursday after my 8 a.m. Geography 4 section. As the semester goes on, it's highly probable I will come in a little earlier than 11 a.m., but I'm just putting this out as a trial balloon to get my sea legs, so to speak, and get established because I just, started the semester. Hi, come on in. Sit over there if you could. Try not to wiggle the little camera that's on the tripod because I'm recording this. No problem. There's a sign-in sheet going around. So I'll probably expand the office hours in person. If these times don't work out for me, please, please, please email me and we'll work something out because I want to be accessible to you if you have any issues. When you email me, this is really important because between these two sections of Geography 115 and my two sections of Geography 4 here, I have 200 students. So the only way I can possibly appropriately identify you is if you put your last name, then your first name, and then the section number of the class you're in the subject line of the email. That way I can identify you, and there's a much higher guarantee that your email is going to be answered in a timely fashion. Because after all, you have questions, you want answers from me. So please, 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 use this protocol when you email me, and I guarantee you your message will not get lost in the shuffle. I know email is kind of an ancient way of communicating. There are other things out there, I guess, like what, Twitter is one of them? How many of you in here do Twitter? Okay, nobody. The only thing I know about Twitter is I like the way the British pronounce it. They say Twitter. It sounds very posh. That's all I know about that. So I'm going to do email. It's old-fashioned, but it works. And when I have an announcement for you all in either section, I will put the announcement on Blackboard, and as I do that, as I compose the announcement, I will always click the box, unless I forget, that says email this announcement to all users of this course. So when I put out an announcement, it should dump right in your email box. All right? This is the book we're using for this course. This is the only edition of this book that is out. I just got word the other day that they're asking professors to review a second edition. We used to use a much more technical book for this course, which was more obviously, I think, oriented toward meteorology students than we used to, okay, because this is, after all, upper division GE. You know, y'all aren't going on to be meteorologists and work for NCAR and any of that. Unless there's somebody in here that's a meteorology major I don't know about, but we don't have a meteorology major here. The thing what we like about this book, and all 4 professors in the geography department who teach this course, either in person or online, use this book, is because one of the authors is a guy named C. Donald Ahrens, who is a retired instructor from Modesto City College. And so, compared to a lot of meteorology textbooks for college level, you're going to find a lot more discussion in here about West Coast weather patterns than you would in most other meteorology books, which are so East Coast centric. So that's one of the reasons why we really like this book. Plus, it's actually quite conversational, and there's good, vivid graphics in it, too. I will cover all 15 chapters in the book, the way the course is lined out. It's a good idea to have a set of cheap colored pencils, you know, for $1, the 8 basic colors, because some of the problem sets will require you to plot graphs and differentiate between different sets of data. So that would be a helpful thing to have. Anymore, anybody's pretty much got a calculator on their phone, but if you have a cheap pocket calculator, that's a nice thing to have. Look, we're not going to be doing calculus in here, okay? So just don't lose sleep at night. But there will be a little bit of basic arithmetic from time to time, which will be involved in the problem sets, which is the quantitative reasoning part of the course. Obviously, a Fresno State email address is something that you all have, and access to Blackboard. I've got some other technology things that I'll talk to you about in a moment. Not required, but a good secondary book. And I think there are copies of the 11th edition of this book in the Madden Library. I know there's at least one copy on 2-Hour Reserve Book, your main textbook. But this is not a bad book to refer to as well. This is the book we use for our lower division Geography 5 when we teach it. This is the Atmosphere Lutkin's Zatar book. They're in their 12th edition now, but I think there's a couple of copies of the 11th edition in the HML for 2-Hour Reserve. But this isn't a bad book to examine for other topics that are not necessarily covered in here. For instance, this book, your main textbook, does not directly cover air pollution, but this one has a whole chapter on it. So this is not a bad one to look at if you're looking for additional information, but this is the textbook for the class. If anybody has any questions along the way, feel free to, to ask, okay? There are 2 writing assignments in the class. There's a small one and a big one. We'll go into that later. But it's good that you have Microsoft Office. If you have Adobe Acrobat Reader, that's good because the problem sets are in the problem set folder. They'll be in PDF format. So you'll need to download those, print them, do the problem sets, scan that PDF document, upload it into one stream, one document, and then scan it in one document and then upload it back to a link that I'll provide in the problem set folder. It's a lot easier to do the problem sets that way on my end rather than taking a picture of each individual page of the problem set. That gets very, very tedious. What happens on my end of the deal is when you upload a problem set, it's in the queue in the grade center. And I click on a folder that says needs grading, and then anything that you've submitted on a link I provided that needs grading will be in that queue, and I'll just take them in the order they were submitted. Have an up-to-date Flash player of some sort, whether it's Real Player or I don't even know half the names of these things. I am not technologically oriented. Okay, look, hi, have a seat. Oh, that's fine. I'm trying to get people over here because I'm not going to go over there. I'm almost 62 years old, folks. I've had to learn technology the hard way. You guys grew up with this stuff, okay? You guys were it was probably innate almost from the womb. There's probably nobody in here over 25, I'll bet, right? See, I grew up with this stuff. I'm trying to learn it as I go. So you'll need a Flash player, a good one, whatever you have in your computers. Most of them have it to stream videos. From time to time, I'll have a video for you to watch. The PowerPoint lectures are narrated. with my voice on them. You may have noticed that already. In the fall of 2012, I actually took a course through TILT. Y'all know what TILT is here on campus? Technology Innovations for Learning and Teaching, I think is the acronym, TILT, on how to take in-person content and convert it to, viable online content. So that I wasn't just going to throw stuff on there and have you sort of get lost in the forest. Anyway, I have found, and people at TILT have found, that Mozilla Firefox works a whole lot better with Blackboard than Internet Explorer does. I'm not sure why that is the case. I don't know how to write code, so don't ask me why. Google Chrome isn't bad, but Mozilla Firefox seems to work really well for Blackboard. If you have a technical problem between Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., don't hesitate to call that number, 278-7373. Those people have saved my butt more than I can tell you. And they're all your age, they're your peers, and they know this system inside and out. So if you have a technical issue, certainly email me. I'm not always going to be on my email, but I'm on it enough so that you get a quick response. But I may not always be well enough versed in technical issues to help you through them. So Blackboard help is an absolutely indispensable source for help with technical problems. Okay, course description. You can read this in the catalog, but I'm obligated to present it to you. Study of hurricanes, tornadoes, thunderstorms, lightning, destructive winds, heat waves, droughts. Hey, we've got one now. Severe winter storms and floods. Looking at the physical laws and processes that account for their formation and behavior, and examining human impacts of these things. After all, the atmosphere affects all of us. We also, in turn, affect the atmosphere. So, aside from the course description and these learning outcomes relating facts and principles that form the foundations of severe weather systems and climatic hazards, distinguish between science and non-science. Don't get your science from people shouting on talk radio, please. Okay. What is the nature of evidence and how it was derived? So all of these scientific things will come into play. Look, I know this is an IB requirement, upper division, you guys have to get done in order to graduate, because the people who govern, if you will, the CSU system, the 23 campus system, the regions, want you to come out of here with some breadth of knowledge about the outside world, other than just, your specific discipline. The main thing I want to do for you all, even though it's a 3-unit hole you're trying to fill, is to make this class interesting and informative and useful, so that here it is, the middle of January, that by the time we get to the middle of May, 4 months from now, I hope that you'll never look at the sky the same way you do now, by the time you get out of here. I've been fascinated with the weather since the 3rd grade, okay? So I'm very passionate about this topic. And I hope my interest and passion for the topic comes through the way I present things. If you want to refer to any critical academic dates in the spring calendar, here's the link for that. It is also embedded in your syllabus, by the way, so it's no secret. But this will enable you to see critical dates, holidays, final schedule, all that sort of thing. In order to be successful, do whatever it takes to acquire your textbook. I don't care if you rent it, I don't care if you buy it, I don't care if you get an electronic version of it, because the PowerPoint lectures only give you a thumbnail sketch of the details of chapters. That's what all lectures are anyway, right? In order to really own this and do well and make it interesting, it's good to read the chapters, highlight as you read, go back and take notes on what you highlighted. You guys are upper division students, so by now you should know how to own material, okay? And make it interesting and make it viable, so that, well, you learn something, and then tangentially, do well on the exams. Obviously, there are issues with plagiarism, academic dishonesty, cheating. Those will not be tolerated. There's lots of disclosures on that in the syllabus, which is on Blackboard. If you have an accommodation through DSS, you will no doubt be presenting me with appropriate paperwork at some time. And if you think you need an accommodation through DSS, call them at 278-2811. or go to Henry Mann Library 1202. So that is a disclosure I need to have. And the other thing that I don't have in this, but I do have it on my syllabus, and I do have it on my welcome letter, that I assume that because you have enrolled in the class that you agree to do all assigned work. Okay, it's just, I'm not going to have you sign a contract. This is a very litigious society. You know, enough of that. But the class does have a writing requirement, so you can't not write the major writing assignment. You have to do it. Okay, so don't think you're not going to be able to skip that. You have to do it. So let's talk about how you'll be evaluated. There are 5 exams. Makeups are a little tough, but I'll tell you right now that there will be a 7-day window in which you can take an exam. And I will put an announcement on Blackboard every time an exam is available to you. Exam number 1 is available beginning Monday, whenever it is, to Sunday, whatever it is, at a certain time. Please do not forget to take the exam. When the window of time passes you by, when the exam is available, that exam disappears and you can't take it. So you need to really pay attention to the tentative schedule and also pay attention to my announcements. Now, for technical reasons, there might be times when I might have to change the availability dates of quizzes and exams. If there are issues with Blackboard, if you had issues with your computer, hopefully not. But there'll be a 7-day window for each of the 5 exams. A begin date and time and an end date and time. All the exams are online. Combination of multiple choice, true or false. Short answer, no. There won't be any short answer. This PowerPoint that I'm showing you was originally oriented toward my in-person 115s when I taught them. Okay. The final exam is not comprehensive. It will only be on the final 3 chapters we cover. And we are covering the chapters in numerical order. 1, 2, and 3 will be in a block. 4, 5, and 6 will be in a block. 7, 8, and 9 will be in a block. 10, 11, and 12 will be in a block. And 13, 14, 15 will be in a block or a unit. Because the knowledge base is sequential. The basic knowledge in the initial chapters will help you understand the atmospheric environment. And then we layer on top of it phenomena like mid-latitude cyclones, tropical cyclones, severe thunderstorms and tornadoes, and things like that toward the end of the course, climate change and so on. About a week before each exam is released to you for availability, I will put on Blackboard in the appropriate content folder a study guide for that exam. That way you're not operating in a void. You know, I really do both my in-person and my online classes in a very straightforward fashion, so I try to minimize any surprises. I think I owe that to you, okay? So the exams, 5 of them, 100 points each, 500 points. There are 5 quizzes. Each quiz is worth 20 points, so your quiz total is 100 points. The quiz questions actually come directly from the exam. That will give you an idea in advance of the exam, the kind of thing that you can expect on the exam. And so the quizzes, and I'll show you the tentative schedule once I get through the PowerPoint, will overlap with the exams. So the quizzes might be available Thursday through Wednesday, and the exam will be available Monday through Sunday. So they'll kind of overlap in the time frame. So this will at least give you an idea of what to expect for the quizzes. There's no study guide in advance of the quiz, and the quiz questions that come from exam questions. There is a writing component to the class. There'll be a short writing assignment, which I have to do a little tweaking on before I reveal that folder to you. I know when you see a folder that says writing assignments, you can't really see that right now. But you'll be able to see it, you know, in a little while. Hopefully in the next 48 hours, because I have to tweak the assignment a little bit. There's a short writing assignment so that I can see how you all write. And then there is a long or major writing assignment, which is due later in the semester, so that by the time you're done with the class, you will have written, without really knowing that you've done so, at least 2,000 words, because that's the minimum writing requirement for the class. 2,000 words is nothing. How many of you have taken a class with a W by it? Anybody in here? Yeah, 2,000 words is a cakewalk, isn't it? Yeah. What did you take for your W class?
It's like African studies.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a lot of them in sociology. For instance, I'm a friend of Matt Gendian, who is Dr. Gendian is the chair of sociology. And, you know, if if you ever take any of his writing classes, man, you come out of there knowing how to write, believe me. I am not an expert in writing. I don't have a PhD in English composition. But the regents of the CSU system want you all to get out of here being able to write a fluid, cogent, understandable research paper in American English. You can plunk down in front of anybody and they can read it and understand exactly what you mean. My father was from Northern Ireland, and he, I guess, was Irish when it was convenient for him, and he was British when it was convenient for him, because, you know, Northern Ireland's part of the UK. And, you know, they had a school system that was really strict and stern, and by God, when you got out of high school at 16, you knew how to write. I mean, you had read George Bernard Shaw and Keats and all this highfalutin stuff, so you knew how to write. I know good writing when I see it, I know challenged writing when I see it. Not official yet, but in the next week or so, look for a supplemental announcement to you on Blackboard about the writing component of the class. I am trying to get for you all free licenses for Pearson My Writing Lab. How many of you are familiar with Pearson My Writing Lab? Okay, 2 people. I'm trying to get some free licenses for you all. And what this tool will do, from what little I've seen so far, because I'm learning how to use it myself, is it will force you to clean the noise out of your writing before I even see it, which will really help. So watch for an announcement on Blackboard in the next several days to a week regarding the writing component of the class and the possibility of free licenses for Pearson My Writing Lab. I'm going to a meeting tonight to learn more about it, but it actually forces you to submit what you've written to them, and they actually have different colors of underlining where mistakes have been made, and you click on that and it's a link to show you how to correct it. So that reduces the amount of noise for me when I get your final product, so that I can understand the story you're trying to tell me. If there are run-on sentences or incomplete sentences or T-H-E-I-R when it should have been T-H-E-R-E or I-T-apostrophe-S when it should have been I-T-S, that's noise for me, because I read all those. I'm supposed to. We don't have TAs that read that stuff anymore. That was X'd in the budget long ago. So this tool, once I get it established, will be helpful for you to take the noise out of your writing. The short writing assignment, you all are going to write about the same topic, Hurricane Katrina. That way I can see how you write, and you don't have to worry about citing sources, because I'm going to give you the sources. I just want to see how you write. The second writing assignment, which is more extensive, will be a formal research paper with suggested topics, and I'll go over that a little bit later. So we have 5 exams, 5 quizzes, 2 writing assignments, 1 short, 1 long, and then we have the problem sets. There are 4 problem sets, each worth 25 points. This is a quantitative reasoning part of the class. This is where you get to mathematically apply some of the concepts you've learned in the reading on paper. And I will show you an example of the first problem set in just a moment. And I think it's for those of you who are in 30900, I'm really sorry about it, but I thought I made the problem set folder available to both sections. I did it for one section and got distracted. I had one guy keep telling me, he said, you know, I can't see the problem sets. Where are they? Well, they're in the problem sets folder. Emailed me back. Well, I can't see the problem sets still. I said, where are the problem sets folder? And then I looked at that section on Blackboard and realized, oh my God, I didn't show the problem set folder. No wonder he couldn't see it, because I didn't open the folder, okay? I appreciate it when you point out my errors, because, you know, then I'll say, oh, I'm so sorry, you know, it's available now, because there is a lot to manage when you're doing an online class. It's not, we just don't throw stuff up there and then, you know, forget about it. So we have to interact with it. So the problem sets, I hope, will challenge you in understanding some of the quantitative issues that, in a very basic way, that meteorologists go through operationally when they are doing their work. Okay? So when you add it all up, it's very straightforward. There are 800 points in the class. It's a straight percentage breakdown, and there's your grade. Okay? No surprises, no tricks. Textbook, gotta have it. Syllabus and tentative schedule, refer to that frequently. Of course, the operative word in tentative schedule is tentative. I may have to change it if necessary, but I think we're gonna be okay. You can print the PowerPoint lectures if you want to. I have them in each folder. They will be in each folder, both narrated and non-narrated. So if you want to print them, and you find that helpful, you can do that. To save ink and paper, I recommend doing handouts and doing 6 slides per page. Because otherwise, if you do slides, it's going to be one whole PowerPoint slide per page, and you have a ton of paper. You don't want that, okay? When you are doing work online, whether it's a quiz, an exam, or submitting a problem set, or listening to my lectures, or streaming a video, please do whatever it takes to minimize any other distractions. Don't be distracted while you're taking an exam by having Facebook open or something like that. Don't do that to yourself, because you're going to run out of time for the exam, you won't complete the exam, you wonder where your time went, or maybe if you have too many windows open, your computer will bark at you and it's going to go slow. So minimize the distractions. When you're online working on this class, only work on this class. Trust me, your life will be a lot more pleasant if you do that. Well, attendance is kind of redundant because it's an online class, but successful students will log into the material at least 3 times a week. Minimize your distractions. If you're away from the university or away from home because of an official CSUF event, like if you're involved in a sports team or something like that, it would be helpful if you present to me your schedule so I know that. So there may be times when you're on the road, you're not going to have internet access. But be very much aware of your deadlines for things, because it's a lot easier to do them before they're due rather than postponing them to the last minute. Then you could get into trouble with technical issues and so on. And I also understand that life happens to people. Maybe some of you have children. Maybe some of you have elderly relatives you're taking care of. I understand those things. So if you have a serious and compelling reason for falling behind, email me, communicate with me, and we'll work it out. Okay, we'll work it out. Pay attention to the tentative schedule, the syllabus, distractions. Get rid of them when you're taking exams and quizzes. Writing assignments must be turned in on time. And toward the end of the semester, once we have completed most of the assigned work, I will probably offer extra credit opportunities. Okay? Maybe streaming a PBS Nova video and writing a response paper. That probably won't come until maybe close to spring break, because by then most of the assigned work in the class will have been done. You will have turned in by then your major writing assignment before spring break, because I want to read them during spring break and get them back to you in a timely fashion. If somebody in the class is bugging you online, let me know. We'll take care of that. One of the things I'll do in the next couple of days is I will open up a very informal discussion board where all of you can talk to each other and talk about your most interesting weather experience in your life. Now it sounds kind of childish, but look, you guys, most of you are not physical science majors, right? What do we have in here? We have CRIM, we have kinesiology, we have MCJ, we have pre-nursing. What else do we have in here?
HR.
Say again?
Human resource management.
Human resource management. Maybe public health. Any public health people in here? Okay, good. So we got a variety of backgrounds we're all coming from. So I'm going to open up a discussion board where you can remember and talk about the most interesting weather experience you ever had. Maybe it was a hailstorm. Maybe you were a kid and you remember when it snowed in Fresno on December 20th, 1998. Huh? Anybody remember that? Okay, yeah, sure. See, there are a few. So that will kind of enable you guys to chat with each other if you wish. It's always nice if you make friends in the class, either this section or the other section. Maybe you already know people, and you can get together in person and study. That's always kind of nice too. There are sources for academic help. The library has got a ton of resources. Look, your fees are high enough. The taxpayers of California have invested in this place. Use those resources, especially if you have difficulty with writing. There is a writing center on campus. They'll be more than happy to proofread anything you write and help you take the noise out of your writing if that's a challenge for you. There's a learning center. There are tutorials on Blackboard that you can check out. There are resources for you if you've got other issues going on in your life that distract you from your learning. Okay? a serious and compelling thing going on in your family, who knows what else. So there's, of course, the health center, there are psych services, there's academic counseling, there are resources outside the university which can be of help to you. So do whatever you need to do to get those resources and use them if you need them so that you can be successful. After all, most of you just have a few semesters to go, right? And we want to make your final semesters as good an experience as possible. And in line with this, I don't know if you know this, but so far in Fresno County this winter season, there have been 7 deaths due to the H1N1 flu. So wash your hands a lot. If you're on campus, you're in contact with a lot of doorknobs, objects that people touch. Keep your hands clean, go to the health center, get a flu shot. If you are, if you believe that whole thing, I do, I got mine early. Take care of yourself so that you can have a successful spring semester. So, are there any questions about the basics? Was that pretty thorough?
What was the timing for the exams you said?
Very good. Good question. What we'll do now is go into Blackboard and actually look at the tentative schedule so you can see that. So I'll go into this section just because it's the first one listed. It's all the same. The content in 30900 is the same as the content in 35743. They're mirrored. They're identical. So let's go into course documents. In course documents, you'll find the introductory documents, which would be the welcome letter, the syllabus, a welcome video. Who watched the welcome video? Okay, not bad. Was that all right? Did I pass the audition? Okay. So let's go to the tentative schedule. So here you go. It's all on one side of one piece of paper. So this week, of course, it's basically the intro to the course, and you start chapter 1 and begin problem set number 1. I have to tweak the short writing assignment a little bit, so I will release that folder to you hopefully by the end of this week, so you can get started on the short writing by Monday, the 27th. You should be, by next week, getting into chapter 2. Chapters 1 and 2 only have 2 narrated PowerPoints. Well, chapters 3 through 15, most of those have 2 narrated PowerPoints. I just listed them up into A and B, but some of the more technical chapters actually have an A, B, and C. And the reason for that is to A, make sure the PowerPoints aren't too bloody long, because if they're too long, I'm going to lose you, right? Your attention span, maybe 15, 20 minutes, okay? And secondly, when I recorded my voiceovers on the PowerPoints, I had to use a software which is called Screencast-O-Matic. Is anybody familiar with Screencast-O-Matic? Okay. It's a neat little software where you can actually, if you have a USB port microphone, you can plug it into your computer, and once your computer recognizes the microphone, you put up your PowerPoint, you call up Screencast-O-Matic, and you can record your voice over a PowerPoint, but you can't, your narrative cannot exceed 15 minutes in length. Because if your narrative exceeds 15 minutes in length, then you have to buy their sophisticated version of the software. So, but the version where you can use it where the voiceover is 15 minutes or less is free. So, I like free things, don't you? Okay? So that's why and sometimes on some of the narrations it might seem like I'm rushing a little bit. Well, I am, because I want to make it to 15 minutes. And there are a couple of them when I didn't quite finish. I needed a few more seconds, and 15.00 is 15.00, and man, that thing just disappears like that. So, anyway, so the first exam, here we go. Quiz number 1 will be available on Thursday, the 30th of January, which is a week and a half away, and it will go away on Wednesday, February 5th. And exam number 1 will be available beginning on the 3rd of February. Some of you may be, either cheering or cursing depending on who wins the Super Bowl, right? But there's the 1 week for the first exam, and it will be available for 7 days, and it will go away on Sunday, February 9th. So that's how that works. You can see how the quiz and the exam will overlap. And when I make a quiz and exam available to you, I'll put out an announcement saying, quiz number 1 is now available. Please take it before 11:59 p.m. on Wednesday, February 5th. This will be the only announcement you receive. You'll get something like that in your inbox, in your email. So that will make you aware of that. You can see then problem set number 1 is due on Wednesday, February 12th. Then you can begin problem set number 2. You can see it's all very sequential. The next exam and quiz is basically in the beginning of March. The next exam and quiz are basically toward the middle to end of March. The next exam and quiz, that'd be number 4, would be basically the first few days of April. And the final will be available to, the final exam will be available to you during finals week. Okay? I'll probably actually release it during the 2 consult days, which are Thursday, the 8th of May, and Friday, the 9th of May. I may actually release the exam then, because the exams have to be taken by Thursday, May 15th. So there's a slight truncating of that exam sequence in there. But it's all right in here, and if there are any announcements, if there are any adjustments that have to be made in the tentative schedule, I'll make sure I get an announcement to you, and I'll make sure it's with as much clarity as I can muster. Make sense? Yeah, it's all right there. Yes?
For the problem sets, we're gonna print them and complete them and then scan them, and that's how we turn it in?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay, exactly. So let's go there, shall we? Yes, a question about?
Oh, I just had a quick question about the quizzes and
Yes.
tests. Once we start it, how long do we have to finish it?
Good question. You have 10 minutes for each quiz and 60 minutes for each exam. And from the moment you start, the timer will go. Please do not end the exam and then think you can come back another time and complete it. Okay, do it all in one session. It's really important that you have a good, reliable internet connection, that you don't have any, you don't have a whole bunch of windows open, that you're only doing the exam, and that enables you to succeed in hopefully having as few technology problems as possible so you can complete the exam in one sitting. That's really important. And we have found, as I mentioned, that Firefox seems to work best as a browser for that. So that's a very good question. But let's go, if we can, to the problem sets, and let's see if I can address that question. So let's see. Here is the problem set folder. And problem set number 1. So here it is. I think it's got 8 pages. Some of the pages are informational. The first one is an exercise in how pressure decreases as you go up from sea level. It's pretty straightforward. You've got some calculations to make here. Basically, it's just a big hanging subtraction problem is what it is here. There is a video for this. I hope you've watched it. If you haven't, I'll show you where to find it. Page 3 in problem set number 1. You've downloaded and printed this, and you're actually doing it. Page 3 involves plotting this data from these 2 weather stations. This is an upper air sounding, where they launched the radio song on the balloon and got data from different altitudes. And this is where colored pencils are helpful, because that way you can differentiate your Key West plot from your Fairbanks plot. And then once you plot that, if you plotted it correctly, and by the way, a plot means not just putting the dots where the temperatures go at the proper altitudes, but then after you put the dots on, connect the dots so you can see the plot. Then there are questions about that plot. A couple of the questions are critical thinking questions, which sort of help you examine how well you understand concepts regarding the vertical structure of the atmosphere with respect to temperature. Then the next 4 pages on problem set number 1 have to do with Earth-Sun geometry and the reasons for the seasons. Here you are calculating at different places and different latitudes the angle of the sun above the horizon at local noon. This is to demonstrate to you how incoming solar radiation is different every single day depending on the angle of the sun. That's why we have seasons. This is informational. It's a calendar called an analemma, where you can pick any date on the analemma and it will tell you where the sun is directly overhead at local noon. So somebody, okay, right here, what is your birthday?
February 24th.
February 24th, it's coming up. Okay, so if we find February 24th on here, this is roughly about here, and if you look over here, the sun is directly overhead at local noon at 10 degrees south latitude. That's what that tells you. That's the place on Earth that's getting the most direct rays of the sun on your birthday, okay? shout out another birthday.
April 17th.
April 17th, okay. I think that's the anniversary of the San Francisco earthquake, right? Okay, April 17th. By the way, this is not a class about earthquakes, so don't write about earthquakes, please, all right? You can take geology across the street. The 17th of April is roughly here. So we find that the sun's rays are directly overhead at local noon at about 9 degrees north latitude. See how that changed? Okay, so that's what the analemma is all about. And then on the last page, you've got a bunch of calculations to make. The sun angle at local noon at Fresno and Anchorage, Alaska. And I give you the latitude of Fresno and I give you the latitude of Anchorage, so you should be able to calculate the solar noon angle based on the concepts you learned in the previous part of the problem set. So yeah, you're going to download these, you're going to physically do the work, and then you're going to upload it. And when I go into, okay, where I want to go here. So if you're in the problem set folder, what I will do is, I've already made this link available to you. It says submit problem set number 1 here. So as a student, you're going to go into that link, and you will have scanned your finished work into one PDF document. Don't take 8 pictures, please. That'll drive me crazy. Into one PDF document, and then after that, on your end, you will be, when you do that, by the way, the photocopy machines in the library, you should be able to scan documents, okay? I think everybody knows that by now. So scan your document, PDF format is preferred, and then save it to your computer. In other words, I think there's a way you can actually email it to yourself when you scan it. So after you've done that, you save it to your computer, and then you go into this link, upload your completed work, and it will be, there's a column for it in the grade center when I establish this link, and your work will be in the queue for me to grade. It'll be there. And then I will go in and grade each problem set and tell you which ones you got wrong and what page you got something wrong. So for instance, there are roughly 50 items in problem set number 1. So each one is worth half a point if the whole problem set's worth 25 points. So if you got 4 items wrong on the problem set, that means you get a score of 23 out of 25. See how that works? So that's the mechanics of that. It's really not too bad. But I know the library has machines where you can scan your work, email it to yourself, save it in your computer, upload it to me. Yes?
With the problem sets, when we're doing the work, do you want us to write out the subtraction problems or whatever?
Oh, show the work?
On there, show the work, or just the answers?
The answers are sufficient.
Okay.
I'm going to assume for the sake of argument, y'all know how to add and subtract and follow directions. So, yeah. Unless you want to show the work in the margins, I have no problem with that. But just make sure your response or your answer is clear and it's placed where it should be so I can see it. Because I'll just go, what I do is when they're on my end, you know, they're loaded in the queue, I just, well, let's see, just a second. I think there might be one student who's already finished this in this section. So let's just go to the grade center and see what's in there. So this is what I'll see, needs grading. Okay, there is nothing in this one, all right. So let's go to the other section. I think somebody in 743 has finished it. This is what you see, I see on my end, all right. Just to give you an idea how this works. Needs grading, yeah, actually there are 2 people who have finished in there, okay. So this is what I'll see. So I'll see somebody's work, it'll be in here. I just click on the name, and they have it in one nice PDF document, and I just scan. I've done this so many times, I can see where there are errors. I read the explanations. She could have, I would have suggested to her that she connect the pink dots, connect the blue dots, so I could see the plot, okay? I'll look at all this later. She's calculated her sun angles for those places and those times of the year. There are those. So I'll just go through and grade it. And then what I'll do then is I'll give you the grade here, how many points out of 25, and then there is a field for me to, I think, also make comments. I don't see it, but I think I have to click on that in order to make that happen. So that's what I see on my end when you submit the problem sets. Make sense? It's pretty slick, really. Would you like me to sort of go over the writing issues a little bit, the writing assignment folder? Because I know that's coming up soon. I know I have to tweak that a little bit, but let me just kind of show you what you're going to see. And of course, as far as the content folders are concerned, let me do that while I'm there. I only have content right now in Chapter 1, 2, and 3 folder. So if you click on Chapter 1, you're going to find narrated and unnarrated PowerPoints. Okay. This is the streaming video for the Chapter 1 PowerPoint. My golden voice on the PowerPoint. Okay. Where's the audio? Weather-related events in the United States cause an estimated $10 billion in property damage every year. Okay, so you get the idea. And if you want to look at the PowerPoint without narration, I put it on there for you. Okay. Also in this folder, at some point very soon, there will be a study guide for exam number 1. It'll be in the proper content folder that goes along with the unit. Make sense? Pretty organized, I hope. And then once you guys are done with chapters 1, 2, and 3, I will reveal the next folder once I make sure the content is tweaked. And this is my option where I can show that link when I'm ready to show it. I'm not ready to show it now. Writing assignments. I'll just give you a preview of what the first writing assignment will be. It's a short writing assignment. There are rather detailed instructions. You guys are going to stream a couple of videos. One is about Hurricane Katrina, PBS NOVA, the storm that drowned a city. The next one is a PBS Frontline investigation on the police response to the aftermath of Katrina, and a few articles to read. And then this is kind of an interesting assignment because it sort of marries science and social science. You guys get to see a natural disaster unfolding, and then you get to see the human response to same, and then integrate the knowledge, and then write me a paper about it. I need to do a little tweaking in here, but I've given you some prompts, some writing prompts that help guide you. Here is a rubric that you'll need, this gives you an idea of what a good paper will be like. It's only worth 25 points, but it gives me an opportunity to see how you write. That's the thing here, okay? And there are at least 2 modes of submission for these writing assignments, short and long. Since I haven't mastered the technique of actually learning how to grade a Word document while it's in front of me on a computer screen, there'll be 2 modes of submission. Number 1, you're actually going to walk into my office before on the date the thing is due and hand me a physical copy of the paper with the grading rubric stapled on the front. And then the second thing you'll do is upload your work to SafeAssign, which is the plagiarism filter. Is anybody in here not familiar with SafeAssign? Okay, it's pretty easy. But basically what it does is it's got software in it that kind of gives me a determination whether you've just taken somebody else's work and just cut and paste into a Word document. If your score is over 35%, that tells me you've been doing a lot of cutting and pasting. But I will be tweaking the criteria for this in a couple of days and getting it out to you, but I wanted to at least show you a little bit about what the short writing assignment will be. You all are going to be writing about the same thing, and I'm going to give you the sources, so you don't have to worry about citing sources. I just want to see how you write, so that we can take care of any noise in your writing before you write the big assignment later in the semester. Does that make sense? Okay, and I know some of you will have to go soon, and that's okay, not a problem. Thank you for coming. I hope it was helpful to you. Fantastic. The major writing assignment is different because this is there's nothing in there? You gotta be kidding me. Okay, well I haven't put it in there yet. Okay, that's not a problem. I don't have that document with me, but you will have a number of topics that you can choose from to write about, ranging from heat waves to droughts to blizzards to El Nino to whatever interests you. And I'll get that criteria out to you in a few weeks once you're well underway in writing the short writing assignment. So there's plenty of time. You'll have 8 weeks to write the major paper. Okay. Any other questions? If you have any questions that you think of after you leave the room, and that always happens with me, after I go to a meeting, why didn't I ask that? Feel free to email me, and I'll be more than happy to respond as soon as possible. Okay? Thank you for coming. I hope this was useful to you. All right? Let's learn about the weather and have fun. Doesn't have to be drudgery. My gosh, we have this drought to talk about, right? So, how many of you have seen the movie Chinatown with Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway? Old movie about water in LA. You ever seen that movie? It came out in '74, but it was about LA in 1937. You know, and they go out all these great pains to have the proper clothing and the old cars, and one of the funniest lines is there's a guy who's drowned. They think he was murdered, and he happens to be the LA water commissioner. And so Jack Nicholson's character, he's like a private investigator, he goes to the morgue, the city morgue, and there's this big fat guy smoking a cigarette. His name is Morty, okay? He's the coroner, okay? It's funny. You know the coroner named Morty? Give me a break. So, how you doing, Morty? Oh, can't complain, except for this darn cough. Get a load of that. LA's in the middle of a drought, the water commissioner drowns. Only in LA. You know, it's just funny. Anyway, you have to watch this movie, though. I digress, but we do have this drought to talk about, which is history that you all are living through now. It's a big, big deal. That might be the chosen topic of your major paper. Who knows? Okay?
Thank you.
Email me if you have questions. Thanks for coming.